The Calgary Police Service has arrested and charged a youth in connection with hacking school board servers between November 2014 and March 2015. The 15-year-old boy, who is from Calgary, is alleged to have hacked into the Calgary Board of Education servers using phishing emails and credentials. Once into the server, he accessed corporate and personal information. The youth contacted local media outlets to notify them of the attack. Police were called and initiated a complex investigation that resulted in a search warrant being executed in Calgary yesterday. The 15-year-old, who can't be identified under provisions of the Youth Criminal Justice Act, has now been charged with the following: personation, unlawfully altering data, unlawfully obtaining a computer service, unlawfully using a computer system, using a computer password that would enable him to commit the offense. This youth has been released on bail with conditions, and his next court appearance is scheduled for July 23, 2015. No further details will be released in relation to how the suspect gained access to the servers. The Calgary Board of Education took steps at the time to notify parents of the students who were impacted. And I'll answer some of your questions.
Do you know if any sensitive information was jeopardized because of the hack?
The individual was able to access personal and corporate information.
And but did that lead to any? I don't know, like any.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
To our knowledge, there were no other criminal offenses committed based on access to that information. But we obviously, as the police service, encourage anyone who's a victim of a crime or thinks they may have been a victim of a crime to report it to us.
Can you talk about what kind of corporate information you're talking about, a little more specifically? I mean, given that the school board is a public body, what was access that wouldn't have been able to access, through FOIA or through publicly?
Well, just information that was located on their servers that you would have needed authentication credentials to access. I can't go into specifics about what type of information, but just that it wouldn't be publicly available.
Can you give me maybe one example, just so we know what we're talking about?
No, sorry. Just information that would be contained on a server of any type of organization, not just specific to Calgary Board of Education, but any type of server. Once a person is authenticated into the server, they would have access to whatever those credentials would allow them access to. So by corporate information, I just mean I don't actually even know what the Calgary Board of Education stores on their servers, so I wouldn't want to speculate as to exactly what type of information.
How many people were impacted? How many people's information were people directly contacted, or was it just kind of through a note to all?
You'd have to follow up with the CBE on that. I can't speculate as to how many individuals were impacted. We just know that a number of personal records were viewed or obtained,
So
but I can't speculate as to exactly how many numbers.
Right. So can you just talk a little bit to the motive? I mean, because the teen contacted media to tell them about what he'd done. I mean, what was the motive here?
To be honest, I don't know what the exact motive is. I wouldn't want to speculate on that in particular. It is before the courts, and it may come out during the court proceeding as to exactly what the motive was, but I can't speculate on this particular instance. There are a number of general motives where someone may have an ideological basis behind it or something like that, but in this case, I can't say for certain what the motivation was.
How does this attack rate on the sophistication scale? How many people would be able to carry out something?
This particular offense would not require a high degree of sophistication. I'll leave it at that.
Was the school board did they have systems in place that were adequate to deal with something like this?
It wouldn't be for me to comment on what security measures were adequate or not. I know all organizations are across the globe aware of cybercrime, cybersecurity issues. With respect to whether their security measures were adequate, I wouldn't want to comment on that, but it is important for individuals personally and organizations generally to understand cybersecurity and the potential negative impacts of not having security measures in place. The government of Canada does a fairly decent job of providing Get Cyber Safe is a website that provides people information about how to be cyber secure personally and as well as for corporate entities.
Have they changed anything to ensure that this doesn't happen in the future?
You'd have to ask them about that. I'm not sure what mitigation strategies they put in place. They wouldn't typically share those with us.
If
You
didn't-
consulted them on adding any new measures?
No, we don't. As a police agency, we don't consult to direct public or private entities on what they should put in place or not put in place. But there are there's plenty of information online as to some general strategies. Also, there's a burgeoning industry of private sector companies who are providing cybersecurity services.
I'm sure you're aware, there's a story out today, a federal government website being attacked by, I believe it's called denial of service attacks.
Mhm.
Does that at all surprise you, given sort of what you know about how prepared organizations, especially public ones, are for attacks like this?
Well, not specifically referring to what's going on today, but in general, denial of service attacks have been happening for a number of years, and there's a number of other cybersecurity types of attacks that have occurred over the past couple of years. 2014 was referred to as the year of the breach, so it doesn't surprise me that denial of service attacks are ongoing.
Can you talk about the staffing levels and sort of the complexity level of people who are investigating this with the Calgary Police, and sort of where you find people with that sort of skill set and how difficult that is?
Our cybercrime team is 9 officers right now, and their training has been done internally. They're all police officers. We don't have civilian employees at this point, but their cybercrime training has been done internally. And obviously, we tend to select people who have a propensity for technology and an interest in it. Does that kind of answer?
Have you guys looked into sort of hire? I know that our other organizations are hiring specifically like people who've been hackers in the past to try to better protect their systems. Is that something that the Calgary Police has looked into to sort of better be able to understand the crime?
We haven't looked into hiring anybody like that. I do not want to portray people who identify themselves as hackers as all bad people, because many of them use their skill sets to improve security in organizations and with software vulnerabilities. So there are a number of people who do use their powers for good, so to speak. So, but we haven't looked as an agency at hiring externally for that.
Because you haven't needed it, or you haven't needed that level of sophistication yet?
I would say that it's something that at this point we haven't needed that level of expertise, but we're not averse to consulting where required.
Did the school board know that it had been hacked before media contacted them for comment? Initially?
You would have to ask them for that. We became aware of, the Calgary Police became aware of the CBE situation when the media were notified, and they subsequently notified us.
Ryan, and just, I know that you couldn't speak to the motive about the team's actions, but on that move to contact the media, I mean, can you elaborate a little bit on that? Was that like gloating, or hey, look what I did kind of thing? Can you elaborate on that at all?
Well, from the content of the email, the individual obviously decided that they needed to make somebody aware. I don't know whether that was motivated by any particular personal reason or what exactly the reason for that was, but it did appear that they wanted to make it known that they had gained access to the server.
How many times did they gain access to the server?
I don't know specifically over that period of months. It was a number of times, but I don't know exactly how many.
Since he didn't commit any crimes with the information, do you know what he did do with it?
Well, he did commit crimes in the sense of he accessed it unlawfully, but with the information that he gained, we're not aware of any additional crimes that were committed.
So did he just get it and store it, or did he do anything at all with it?
Other than, as you're aware, some screenshots were sent to the media. Other than that, I'm not aware of what else may have been done with the information.
Was he able to just do this using his own sort of personal computer? Did he have anything more sophisticated than that? I mean, people probably look at this and look at the
Right.
15-year-old in their parents' basement. Is that accurate?
Yeah, going back to your sophistication comment, I mean, what's required is a computer and access to the internet, and beyond that, not a high degree of sophistication. Some self training, and you're off to the races, so to speak.
What kinds of consequences go with the charges? Is it jail time? Is it fine?
Well, it'll be up to the courts to decide what punishment fits the crime. Based on the charges, there is the possibility of jail time, but that would be up to the courts.
Can you comment on how common this is in Calgary and how much of a concern it is that it is somebody that's 15 years old?
Well, as I alluded to before, I don't recall the last time that these specific set of charges were laid, so it's likely a common occurrence, but not reported as often. And with regards to the concern, obviously, the police are concerned about individuals who commit these type of crimes, and let me finish that thought. So we are concerned about individuals committing that type of crime regardless of the age, but there's likely probably more of it going on than we're aware of.
Was phishing involved? Was that simply the 15-year-old posing as someone else to gain information? Was the 15-year-old posing as an organization?
No, so that's what forms the basis of the personation charge, is the posing as someone else.
How many people actually clicked on those links?
I don't know the exact number.
Is that a little bit worrisome that you have certain employees who should know better than to click on something that's a little fishy looking?
Well, that is kind of, in the cybersecurity industry, that is kind of one of the things that organizations do try to get across to their employees, is that cyber hygiene, being aware of what a phishing email is, what a spam email is, those sorts of things. So it is important for employees at any organization, or even individuals personally at home, to understand the potential hazards that are on the internet.
And just to clarify, so the phishing email and then the credentials part,
Mhm.
did those two things go part and parcel? Like, through the phishing, did he gain the credentials, or did he have the credentials in addition to the phishing?
I won't get too specific at this point. Those details will be elaborated on throughout the court process.
How much did this investigation cost?
I can't say how much did it cost the Calgary Police Service. It was as you're aware, it was a several-month investigation. A number of officers participated in it. I don't have a kind of a aggregate figure of what that cost, but it was a number of investigators over a period of months, culminating.
Sorry, how many files are you guys working on at one? This unit of the police, how many files are you working on?
Well, at any given time, I can't say specifically how many. At any given time last year, we had 416 files that cybercrime worked on. This year, we're on pace to exceed that this year. So I can get a more accurate count for you later if you like.
Were the parents aware of their son's activities?
No, they weren't aware.
Were they surprised? What was their reaction?
The parents' reaction in this situation was one of surprise, and as I said, they weren't aware of what was going on.